In this episode we will be sailing from Portland Marina to Brixham Marina on the south coast of Devon. There were a couple of reasons why we were both extremely anxious about this leg of the journey, so keep watching and I will explain why we were feeling so anxious about this leg later on in the video. Whatever anxiety we were feeling before the journey soon faded away when these guys joined us for the journey. Welcome to the sailing adventures of Scamper. Now let me introduce Scamper to you. She is a Colvick Salty Dog 27, born in 1980, making her 45 years old and nearly as old as I am. Now I am Phil and this is my wife Jackie, and we are the owners of Scamper. If you watched our previous video, you will know that we arrived safely in Portland Marina. However, the wind turned on us once again and was simply too strong for us to be comfortable with. In fact, during the second night of our stay in Portland Marina, the wind was so strong that it woke us up and we really were scared that we would break free of the pontoon. I seem to remember in the morning that we were told that the wind speed got over 50 knots during the night. That helped to explain why Scamper was heeling over so much even though we weren't sailing anywhere. It was no great hardship and we ended up spending 2 additional days in Portland. Now we put this time to good use and pampered Scamper with some TLC and gave her a really good clean. As you can see, we are at the end of the visitors pontoon in Portland Marina, and we did actually measure how far it was using a Garmin watch from the office, and believe it or not, we are 0.6 of a mile away from these gates that you see now. The Asda van you see in the background was our food delivery. We thought we'd also use the opportunity to go and visit Portland Bill and possibly have a chat with the NCI volunteer that was on duty. He was extremely welcoming and very helpful, and we discussed the passage plan that I had put together for the route around Portland Bill. He said the passage plan was good, but recommended that we left the marina approximately an hour after I had planned to get to Portland Bill just at the right time. Now, if I'm being honest, it was this part of the journey that kept me up at night before we started to bring Scamper back to Plymouth. We now knew that my passage plan was good, but in my own mind I still had a few niggling doubts. The first doubt was Scamper's speed over ground. So far we had made about 4 knots under engine, but the speed of the current was still unknown to us. The second doubt was Scamper's engine. It hadn't missed a beat up to this point, but if it did break down, we feared being swept into the race. The third and possibly the greatest fear was not seeing a submerged potboy and getting tangled up in the line, meaning we would have no manoeuvrability at all and would possibly just be stuck there and would need to await rescue. After lots of discussion, we thought we'd play it safe and head towards the East Shambles Buoy and aim to pass Portland Bill about 5 nautical miles south. This meant that if anything unexpected did happen, we had plenty of time to sort ourselves out or call for help if we really needed to. At 10 to 6 in the morning, and as soon as it was light, we left the pontoon and slipped out of the marina as quietly as possible. We thoroughly enjoyed our time in Portland Marina. The staff were absolutely fantastic and the facilities were also excellent, and we will be returning again in the future. The forecast for today was the wind blowing 7 knots, gusting 10 knots, pretty much all the way across Line Bay to Brixham with sunny spells. Now the wind forecast was starting northeasterly, then veering east to southeast, and then south and possibly round to the southwest later, so a complete mixed bag with regards to wind direction. You can now see us heading towards the North Ship Channel, and Jackie has hoisted the mainsail and is finishing off with the winch to pop some tension in the luff of the main. As you can see, the sunrise is absolutely beautiful and it was well worth getting up early for. It was the perfect morning for breakfast at Cafe Scamper. At this point we were about 5 nautical miles south of Portland Bill and heading into the great expanse of Lyme Bay. At this stage we were motor sailing and we were quite prepared to motor sail all the way to Brixham if necessary, simply because of the light variable winds. With our current knowledge of Scamper, I'd estimated that the trip to Brixham would take about 15 hours. That was with the engine running at 2,200 RPM and making about 4 knots. I'd planned the journey across Lyme Bay to go with the tide, and our speed over ground was averaging between 5 and 6 knots, so we were making really good time. When we were about halfway across Lyme Bay, a large pod of dolphins joined us and they stayed with us for about 50 minutes. This experience really did make our day and was the greatest highlight and privilege of the entire journey back to Plymouth. There's 2 here, Bean. Yeah. As I said at the beginning of the video, this leg of the trip caused us the most anxiety. I've already explained about Portland Bill, but the second part that caused us anxiety was being so far away from land. At the furthest distance we were 20 miles from the closest land, but actually when we were in the middle of Lyme Bay, joined by these beautiful animals, our fear soon faded away and we really enjoyed this part of the journey. We don't actually know how many dolphins there were because we were simply unable to count them. But at some points they were surrounding the whole of Scamper and could be seen further away from the boat as well. as you can see, we are now on the approach to Brixham Harbour, and Jackie has finished off tying on the fenders in preparation for arrival in Brixham Marina. When approaching Brixham from the sea, the first thing that you may notice is the long breakwater, but behind this you will see many colourful houses cascading down the side of the hill towards the harbour. The last time I would have been on a sailing vessel in Brixham Harbour would have been on my father's Dockrell 23, a rather small bilge keel yacht. Now that would have been in the late 80s when I was in my early teens, and Dad kept his yacht on a swing mooring for a year or so before relocating it to Plymouth. His yacht was called Yoo-Hoo, and I do still wonder sometimes whether she is floating around in the Plymouth area or the wider southwest. I am sorry to say that unfortunately Dad lost a battle with pancreatic cancer back in 2003, but there's one thing for sure, that he would have loved coming out on Scamper and my sister's yacht Isle, and I'm sure we would have laughed about all the disasters and calamities that we got up to. For any of you that have never been to Brixham Harbour, it is located on the southwestern edge of Torbay and boasts one of the largest fishing fleets in the UK. According to my research on Brixham Harbour, over 100 fishing boats land and sell their catch at the local fish market on the quayside. The modern fishing fleet out of Brixham generally consists of large beam trawlers and smaller day boats. Many people believe Brixham to be one of the prettiest harbours on the South Devon coast, and to many Brixham personifies the classic English fishing port, mixing tradition with a modern, vibrant fishing industry. Here we are coming into the marina, and we were asked to continue on to row C to berth. Now, just coming up on our port side is the fuel berth, and as you can see, it is easily accessible and well protected from the majority of wind directions, particularly the prevailing southwesterly wind and the occasional easterly wind as well. You may remember that I'd said that I had estimated 15 hours to get from Poole Harbour to Brixham Marina. In fact, it took us 11 hours and 22 minutes with an average speed of 4.9 knots, covering 55.8 nautical miles in total. So actually, we arrived in Brixham Marina in time for tea. So here we are approaching the finger pontoon nice and slowly. Very, very little wind within the marina to kind of push us around. and Jackie doesn't quite manage to chuck the rope to our line catcher, but not to worry, everything's under control, and I'm just giving the engine a bit of a blip in reverse just to slow us down, to give Jackie plenty of time to tie off the bow line. This leg of the journey really was the most memorable for a number of reasons. In our minds, we had built up the trip to such an extent that we were almost so nervous about it that we didn't bring Scamper back ourselves at all. But we were so relieved and glad that we made it back to Devon in one piece, and you'll be able to hear the relief on Jackie's voice in a few seconds.
We're actually in Devon again.
But I never thought you could.
We're in Devon again. Woo!
We hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions or comments, pop them in the comments section below. Take care, and we will see you in the next episode, where you will be joining us on our final leg from Brixham Marina along the south coast of Devon to our home city of Plymouth.
Close your eyes, hear the voice within calling. This heavy load got under your skin. Hauling, you got the white knuckles holding on.
There's two here, mate.
Keeping your feelings bottled.